We are here with Kimball Parker, the founder and CEO of SixFifty. SixFifty is a software subsidiary of the famous law firm Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rossetti. Is it Rossetti, Kimball? Did I say that right?
Rosati.
Rosati. Of course, I didn't say that right. And SixFifty works with Wilson Sonsini's lawyers to automate and simplify the law. And they've released some products around COVID-19. Kimball, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can you tell us how SixFifty was started?
Yeah, so I'm a professor at BYU Law School, and I teach a class called Law X. And so in that class, we will take a problem in the law that people who can't afford an attorney really struggle with, and we'll try to develop a software solution to that problem within one term. And so we had successfully addressed a few kind of big legal problems, and had quite a bit of success. We built a little tool that was like TurboTax to help people who had been sued for a debt. There's 70,000 people sued for a debt each year in Utah, and 99% of them can't hire an attorney. And so we built a little program that's helped thousands of people. We built a little program for eviction. Anyway, Wilson Sonsini saw the success of those tools and thought, let's try to do that with our legal expertise. Maybe you can build technology and some automation around deploying our legal expertise in a way that's scalable and we can reduce the time and cost to help people.
So you've created some free tools for people that may be having difficulty during COVID-19 and this pandemic. Can you tell us about what those tools are?
Yeah, sure. So the federal government passed the federal stimulus, the CARES Act, at the end of March, kind of early April, and a lot of provisions in that got a lot of attention. For example, the federal government was going to send checks out to everybody, and there was the PPP program for businesses under that federal stimulus. But there were some provisions that actually had a really big impact, had the potential to have a big impact on people, but that needed just a little bit of legal help to get there. And so, for example, under the federal stimulus, people can delay paying their mortgage for up to 6 months, and actually they can extend it again for up to a year if they are suffering financial distress. And so they can delay paying their mortgage without any penalties, fees, or other charges. They don't need to pay it back in a lump sum after the time. But the person, in order to invoke that right under the federal stimulus, has to write a letter to their lender, specifically saying, I want to delay my mortgage for 6 months under the federal stimulus. And so what we did is we created a little automated program like TurboTax to help people write a letter to their lender, specifically asking for, it's called mortgage forbearance under the federal stimulus. And then we built a similar tool for renters. There were also rights of renters to delay paying their rent and to avoid eviction. And so we built a little letter that people could write to their landlords that was respectful and nice, but that invoked the CARES Act. And those tools have been used by over 3,000 people across the nation in just a few weeks.
What are some of the most significant legal hurdles employers want to consider as they have their employees return to work?
Yeah, so this is employers are being put in a very dangerous and unprecedented situation. So under the law, employers have a duty to provide a safe working environment for their employees. But how does an employer do that when COVID-19 is still spreading? And actually, we've seen bad examples of this. There were two companies in the news in Utah Valley who basically ignored all precautions and regulations and kept their business going without any safety measures. And we were able to, or the estate was able to trace over 60 cases back to those two employers. And so how do employers, when they open back up, how do they not be those two businesses? And again, I think this is dangerous in two ways. It's dangerous from a medical point of view for employees, and it's also dangerous legally for an employer. And so what we did, so we worked with the employment experts at Wilson Sonsini to really understand, like, what are all the different things that an employer needs to consider when they open back up. So for example, are they going to have, is an employer going to funnel everybody through one entrance? Are they going to take people's temperatures? Are they going to have them sign a form saying they don't have any symptoms? Are they going to test them for COVID-19? Maybe they want to stagger the times that they come in so that they're not all coming in the morning, or maybe they want to stagger the days or rearrange their office. I mean, all the way down to, like, maybe you want to adjust your ventilation system, since this is something that can be transmitted through droplets in the air. Maybe you want to make adjustments to a lot of the kind of operations in your business. And so we worked with Wilson Sonsini to think through a lot of those issues, and we developed a product to help basically to help a company walk through those issues and create the policies they need to safely transition their workforce back to the office. But again, we've never seen a time like this ever. Obviously, usually when someone needs, like, a legal document from a lawyer, the lawyer will work off a template. So for example, if somebody goes and says, "Hey, I want a sexual harassment policy," that's a policy that's been around for 50 years and it's been iterated. There is no return to work policy, and so companies desperately need them. I mean, this is a situation. If there is ever a situation in the history of employment law where you need a policy, it is now, and the consequences are significant. And so companies are, if they want to get that policy from a law firm, they are going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to do so. And so anyway, so we worked with Wilson Sonsini to try to automate it as much as possible and bring the cost down, we think, to about 80% discount from what a firm would do.
How could a lack of policy put an employer at risk?
Well, so let's take, for example, one of the main things that employers need to do is they need to prevent contagious employees from coming into work and infecting other employees. And so if the employer does not take reasonable steps to ensure that people who are sick or have a fever or are potentially exposed to the virus come into work, then again, they could run into a Utah Valley company situation there, where, let's say 5-10 cases get traced back to that company, that those companies can be liable for not taking reasonable measures to protect their employees. So they can be liable under federal law, under OSHA. That OSHA is the body in the government that ensures that workplaces are safe, and they can just be liable for being negligent, for not taking reasonable measures to protect themselves. And so, it's really important for employers to have clear policies that they can distribute to their employees, so that if somebody, let's say, disobeys those policies, let's say an employee comes in and certifies in writing that they don't have a fever, they're not sick. Maybe in actuality, they do have a fever, they just want to come in. Or maybe they don't enter in through the one door and they go through a back door and go up and they infect 10 people. The company can say, look, we did all that we could do. We told that person to come through one door. We told the person not to come in if he or she had these symptoms. That person ignored it, and that's not on us. And so really, companies, this is a dangerous time for companies. Dangerous from a medical point of view for their employees, but also very, very treacherous legally. And employers need a thoughtful plan spelled out in a policy that they can give to their employees in case something goes wrong, so that in case something goes wrong, that they have some coverage, some coverage with the law.
Kimball, if folks want to learn more or talk to you or 650 about helping, how do they do that?
So they can visit us at 650.com/return to work. And there they can learn about the tool. They can see demos, and they can schedule any kind of meetings with our sales team if they decide they want to purchase. Any of our free tools are available to anyone at any time. So if anybody wants to delay their mortgage by 6 months, they can do that for free at hellolender.org. And if anybody needs help because they can't pay their rent, they can visit hellolandlord.org. And again, that'll help them write to their lender or their landlord, and hopefully keep them in their homes.
Perfect. Kimball, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future as this thing develops. Appreciate it, my friend. Have a good one.